If you find yourself comparing yourself to others, this episode is for you. Today, we are taking apart the assumptions based on comparison, whether it's life, love, career, and even looks. We're going to be taking apart assumptions that are in the realm of comparison. Let's dive in. Welcome back to She's Probably Talking to Other Guys. I'm so happy that you're here and tuning in to another week. Last week was all about the concept of overnight success, why it's a myth, and we're acknowledging the hard work and dedication that is behind the curtain of overnight success. If you haven't tuned into that episode yet, that is episode number 5. Just a friendly reminder, I am not a therapist, psychologist, or expert in human behavior. Everything shared here is based on personal experience, opinions, and a lot of conversations over coffee with friends. If you're struggling with something deeper, I always recommend seeking professional help in chatting with a licensed professional. This is a judgment free, assumption checking zone, so take what resonates with you and leave the rest. Let's jump right into episode number 6. Stop comparing your chapter 2 to someone's chapter 20. If you find yourself scrolling on social media and instantly comparing yourself to someone, whether it's their looks or maybe they just got a brand collaboration and you can't understand why is it them and not me, and then you start to put yourself down a little bit, unfortunately, you're not the only one. It happens so much more often than it really should. And the goal with today's episode is to help not only talk about it so that you know that you're not alone, but give you some ideas to help you reframe your mind and consider some other ideas and some other thoughts that could maybe help you to not compare yourself so often. We're going to go through the first portion, which is going to be the myth of the linear path. There are so many thoughts when it comes to everyone's journey. And part of the issue with comparison is that we see someone on their journey, and maybe it's someone we know, maybe it's someone we don't know. We don't know where they are on that journey. So, first of all, if you're comparing yourself just by seeing whether it was a post or maybe something in the workplace and you saw that someone got a promotion, something that you wanted, you don't know what chapter this person is on. If it's a personal friend, maybe you do, maybe you have a better idea, but you really don't know 100% what went into this moment, the moment that you're comparing yourself to. And that can make it really tricky to judge yourself and wonder why they're maybe over here, but you feel like you're here. And the trickiest part with that is maybe they're not that far ahead of you. Maybe you're further ahead of them and it just doesn't appear that way. It's so hard to know what someone else is going through. It's so hard to know where they are in their journey. And that was partially why I wanted to name this week's episode Stop Comparing Your Chapter 2 to Someone's Chapter 20. You're on a chapter, they're on a chapter. Everyone is on a completely different chapter. And that's something that I want you to acknowledge if you start to question yourself and compare yourself to someone else. I swear that my phone listens to me so often because ever since I started talking to myself, of course, and planning this episode, so many different quotes have popped up on my feed about your progress and the concept of invisible progress. And that's definitely something that can almost like stunt, I would say, like our belief in ourselves if somebody else seems to be showcasing their progress, or you're like sitting there witnessing someone's progress, maybe yours just isn't visible yet. And I think that that's something, being a business owner myself, that's something that's really tricky is that sometimes it's just the progress is there. It's just not being seen yet. And I feel like, in a sense, this is related to our concept of overnight success from last week, where we're in the building phase, right? The quote unquote overnight part hasn't happened yet. The peak hasn't happened yet. We're still in the building phase, which isn't always visible, which can make it very, very tricky. There is a little quote that I saved. Again, I'm like gonna butcher it. I'm not even sure that it's an official quote, but it was along the lines of the concept that the invisible progress, this is the part where a lot of people quit because they can't see the results and they don't know if the results are ever going to come. And this is where a lot of people quit. But when you stick it through and you truly believe in what you're doing, if you stick with it long enough, the results will become visible. That's the idea, right? I mean, hopefully your idea is really good and you're passionate about it, so you will stick with it to see the results. But sometimes it's very hard to keep going when the progress is quote unquote invisible, because we don't know if it's working, and that's where the doubt sets in, especially if we see it working for other people. When it comes to a linear path and the idea of a linear path, we can compare ourselves in a really negative, like making yourself feel bad kind of way. But then I personally discovered that you can also find people who have a similar path to you, maybe in like a completely different career field or just a completely different idea, but you can find something similar in their path. And in a sense, that comparison can actually make you feel better. So let's go through one that can make you feel bad. So if I use an example of seeing someone on social media, maybe this person has, you look at their profile, barely any followers, and they're posting constantly about like, oh, this is how much money that I made on social media in a month. And the number is like massive, right? Like over 10 grand. There are so many people who post things like this where they say, swipe to see how much I've made in social media this year, in this month, this week. And the numbers are really high. And for someone, regardless of their how the length of time they've been in social media, that kind of post, I have found, makes a lot of people feel bad, because then they start to wonder, well, why is this person making that much money? Why do brands ignore my emails? What's wrong with me? And it kind of trickles down this path that is no good. It leads to feeling really bad about yourself and almost the idea of wondering why you're not good enough. I'm proud of you. Get that money. But that's not something that I like to see. And yes, growth is a journey. Personally, right now, I don't want to look at that. It doesn't fit in with my journey to want to see information like that. When it comes to a journey in social media, everyone's journey is so unique. And you need to post what you're comfortable posting. You need to take in the content that you're comfortable taking in, the content that is good for you. You need to, in a sense, curate your feed to show you things that make you happy. Follow creators that make you feel good about yourself. Yes, you can always follow people to learn from them and to see what they're doing and tips and tricks, but try to do it in a positive way, in a way that doesn't make you feel bad about yourself, or prep your mindset and say, okay, I'm just going to look at this to see how they're doing, maybe learn about how they're doing it, but I'm not going to compare myself whatsoever. So that type of linear path is very hard, because yeah, maybe someone's saying that they made $10,000 a month, but you don't know what chapter they're on truly. They might have like 1,200 followers, but maybe they've been at it for a while. Maybe they have an agent. There are so many explanations as to why this person is posting that they've made $10,000 this month in content creation. So don't compare yourself when it comes to posts like that, because you don't know the real how sometimes of where that came from. Something for me for a linear path that actually helped me And I didn't really realize this until like maybe a month or two after meeting this person. So completely, like, I swear it was like the universe just wanted us to meet each other. And we have like very similar paths of what was happening, but I don't know that we necessarily like realized it in the moment. And for me, it actually really helped me to keep going. Now, I don't think I really ever told him this, but I met someone. We had both been in our career path, no, completely different career paths, but we had both been in like individually ours for at least a decade. And they were both coming to a close at the same time. We were both moving on to establishing our own businesses at the same time, kind of growing our own businesses at the same time. And then it was really weird when I saw him the other day. I realized we were talking about something, and again, it was like we were both going through a similar thing literally at the same time. So there is something about, I truly believe that like the universe wanted us to meet, because we have literally, again, not everything is the same, but I find it really interesting that we can go like months without talking to each other, and then when we do, somehow, some way, we seem to be working on something similar in the moment. I don't know. So for me, that is an example of a linear path where the comparison of our journeys has actually helped me to keep going, because again, it's one of those comparisons where I'm like, okay, I'm not alone in this. Like, leaving somewhere after a decade was really hard for me. But then I saw like how he was just going for it, like going for it. I kind of want to say balls to the wall. I don't know if that's, I still don't know what I'm supposed to censor and what I'm not supposed to censor, but he was like balls to the wall, like going for it. And I was like, okay, I need to do that too. Like, let's make it happen. So I think that there are some moments where comparison can help you. And again, that reminder that you're not alone on your journey. Let's go through some common assumptions that are related to comparison and how we can kind of take them and help you thrive. So, number one, I'm just not a creative person. So maybe you saw someone post something and you think like, I could never create something like that. Or maybe you really want to start to create content, create music, create art, something where you're building something new, right? Don't talk yourself out of it. So a concept we're going to kind of introduce, or a mindset we're going to introduce, is that creativity is a skill. It's not something that's fixed. You can work on something and get better at it. You can give yourself time to get better at it, to practice it, to play with it, right? Creativity is something that you can most certainly develop by working on it. Number two, I'm too old to start something new. This is actually funny because I thought about this the other day and I needed like validation that I wasn't too old for this crazy idea that I had. Growth doesn't have an expiration date. You're not behind, you're just starting where you are. When it comes to too old, obviously, like, you need to kind of consider what it is. I mean, I don't know what example I would give you, but if it's something like extremely physical, and like, you might need to talk to your doctor first. But the idea is that when you're trying something new, try it, see if it works. Maybe talk to a few people, build up the courage, but you never know. And I find myself thinking this kind of comparison assumption more often than some of the others. Number three, if I can't do it perfectly, I shouldn't do it at all. Perfectionism is a sneaky way that you can accidentally get yourself stuck somewhere. If you're trying to do something until it's perfect and it's stopping you from showing it off, or the fact that it's not perfect is stopping you from getting to the next level, yeah, you might feel stuck, and that can be frustrating. So progress, even if it's a little bit at a time or one step at a time, can ultimately give you better results than perfection. That's just a little thought to have there. Number 4, I'm not the type of person who could pull that off. Maybe it's a hair color, maybe it's an outfit, maybe it's like a personality trait that you saw someone have. I think that, one, you're not going to know until you try. And what do you have to lose? I don't know. If I see a dress that I want to try on and I don't know if it's going to look good on me, I'm going to try it anyway, because you never know. I think working in the ballroom dance dress industry, I am all about encouraging people to try something on, even if it looks extremely questionable on the hanger, because you never know what's going to look amazing on you until you try it on. That was also something very similar when I was at the Sports Illustrated swimsuit event, which I know I still want to do my episode on that. Someone was picking out swimsuits for me to try on, and I was very open to trying different styles, and they were kind of like, oh, if you don't like it, you can tell me. And for me, it wasn't that. It's just, I think that I'm so used to in ballroom dancing not knowing what a dress looks like until you put it on. I felt the same way about trying on the swimsuits. I was really game for anything, partially because I was really excited, but mostly because I know that I'm not gonna know unless I put it on. And one last assumption: this is just the way I am. Maybe that comes from fear of trying something new. Maybe that comes from the unknown, where if you try to change, you don't know what's going to happen. But it's completely natural for people to evolve, whether that's you're evolving personally through friendships, through maybe a growth process at work. You don't know, but you don't have to be who you have been your whole life. And I think that's something that's really important. And I'm going to bring this up for a second because I hate like the cancel culture. I absolutely hate it. I can't stand it. I don't think it's fair to compare someone in their current state to something that maybe they said or something maybe they did a while ago. I don't find that fair whatsoever. People grow, people evolve, people learn. Again, not everyone learns from their mistakes, or not everyone learns from what they're being judged for. But I'm a true believer in people evolving. I have evolved. I have had so many versions of myself, and I'm obsessed with it. Like, I've evolved myself personally, my social circle, my career has changed from like one thing to another. And I truly believe in evolving and changing and growing. It can be easy to stay in your comfort zone. I 100% get that. Once I stepped out of mine, that was when I started facing some challenges, but they were good challenges because it was changing me, it was changing my experiences, it was helping me to grow, even if I didn't know in the moment that it was helping me to grow. And I love the process of like transformation for someone. I think it's so exciting. Yes, it can be stressful and nerve-wracking, but I find it very exciting to try something new and to try to evolve and change. One moment when I think that you should compare not necessarily yourself but the feeling is if you are judging someone from their past and this person has learned from the experience, or this person has grown from it and they really have evolved. I think that you should put yourself in their shoes for a moment just to know what it feels like to be judged for something that, yeah, maybe you did, maybe you said, you've owned up to it, but it's very easy to pass judgment on someone for something like that. But how would it make you feel if you were the person that people were judging? How would it make you feel if people were basically comparing like something that you did then and assuming that you're still the same person now? Just, I think that that's would be an interesting take to think about. If you, maybe it's something about a celebrity, maybe it's a news story, maybe it's something in someone's personal life, maybe you heard a story about someone. Maybe they did it, maybe they never even did it, and it's just like an unfortunate rumor that has stuck around for this person. But I think that it's very easy to pass judgment on someone for something like that, when you would feel absolutely terrible if someone did that to you. So in a sense, for comparison, that is one moment where I would like you to consider the thought in your head of, okay, like people are saying this about this person. How would I feel if people were saying that about me? Knowing that I'm not that person anymore, or maybe again, it's an unfortunate rumor that started about this person and it's not even true, but people are spreading it and talking about it as if it is and judging this person. So I think that in a sense of comparison, that could be an interesting thought to consider just while we're on the topic of comparison. Because when you think about it, sometimes, I mean, that really sucks. If you see someone going through a really hard time because they're being judged. We're moving into the next portion of why comparison hurts progress. So if we were on a roll, we're going, rocking and rolling, things are moving along, we're making progress, and then suddenly we see someone, we hear something on the news, we're scrolling on social media, and we're like, wait a minute, we're only this far along, and that person already did it. Now, again, you're going down that rabbit hole of feeling really bad about yourself. And your progress is like stunted now for a moment. Or maybe it was stressful enough for you that you stopped working on whatever project it was completely. As hard as it can be to tune things out, it's that mindset shift, that thought that, okay, I don't know what chapter they're on. That's their journey. This is mine. I think I mentioned this in a different episode of trust the timing. I read something the other day about how the universe is like intentionally keeping you like in a certain time. Meaning like the idea of if you missed your exit, if you were stuck at a really long red light, something along those lines, like those little shifts are actually keeping you in the timeline that you're supposed to be in. Something along that thought process of, okay, this is my timeline, this is where I'm supposed to be, trust in the process. Today, I was stuck behind this truck, and I literally could not figure out for the life of me what the heck he was trying to do. I didn't know if he was backing up to try to drop off a delivery. I didn't know if he was trying to like turn his truck to get into like a certain position. I have no idea. And instead of getting frustrated, I sat there and was like, okay, this was supposed to happen. Let's just wait. Let's just see what the heck he's doing. And it took like 5 minutes, but he eventually figured out like where he was going. So it was all good. But again, an example of the timing. Don't let someone else's progress stop you from reaching yours. Comparison can also lead you faster to burnout or rushing something. So maybe if you saw that someone had already submitted something and then you start rushing, so now yours may not be as detail oriented or as thorough as you wanted it to be because now you've rushed simply because you saw that someone else already did it. Sometimes it makes us ignore our wins because somebody else did it first, or maybe it was something you were trying to achieve that you didn't think anyone else was, so you could kind of have something in a sense that made you feel like special or made you feel unique, and then all of a sudden someone else has it. That can definitely make you overthink a lot, but you still have to try to celebrate yourself. One thing I love the concept of is there is more than enough room for everyone to be successful. It's not just one person here and one person there. There is so much room for everyone to become what they want and for everyone to have success. Yes, maybe there's only one job opening for that title, right? And maybe that person gets it, right? There's always going to be moments like that, but maybe that wasn't your path you were supposed to be on. There's so many different thoughts of timeline and the universe and trust in the timing. It can be tricky, but I truly believe that there is room for everyone to grow, room for everyone to be successful. There is a lack of perspective when it comes to comparison. Again, similar to the concept of overnight success, but the idea that we don't see their chapters, not all of them. Maybe we don't know what chapter they're on. We have literally no idea. And I think that that makes it very hard when it comes to comparison, is we instantly make that snap judgment comparing ourselves, and then the emotions kind of take over. And one thing, which is actually going to segue us into our next focus, is how to reframe comparison. So the concept of using the comparison as a clue. So when it comes to emotion, why did this post or this person or this moment make us feel the way that we feel right now? Maybe we're sad, maybe we're upset, maybe we're feeling really bad about ourselves and like we don't matter. These are all valid emotions, but the idea is to stop yourself for a moment and think, okay, what is making me feel this way? So if it's sadness, like what is it about this, I'm just going to use this as an example, this post that I saw that makes me feel sad? What is it about this post that makes me upset? What is it that makes me angry? Whatever it might be, I think a learning tool would be to figure out what is it about this moment that's making you feel the way that you feel. And maybe that gives you an idea to something about, okay, well, what can I do to stop feeling this way? What can I achieve that will give me the result that I want? What do I need to work on to take away this feeling that I'm having right now? How can I get what this person has and get it in my own way, in my own timeline, and in something that makes me feel good? And it can 100% be a learning experience if you take it in the mindset of it being a learning experience. So the idea is, if I see something, it gets me upset, and then do literally nothing to change it, that's not really a learning experience, because then what if I just see that same post again and then get upset for the same reason? Now it's just like this vicious cycle of repetition, and I haven't done anything to change it. That would be an example of it not being a learning experience, for it to just keep happening over and over and over again, and to just keep getting the same frustration from it. So taking it in more of a learning mindset of, okay, well, what can I do to not feel this way? What can I do to maybe adjust my path a little bit, or to shift my goals more towards trying to achieve what this person has achieved? Something along those lines. And it can even be something as like really clear skin. Maybe I'm so frustrated that there's always a pimple somewhere, right? And this person never seems to have them. Something along those lines. It can be literally something like that, or it can be that someone got a promotion, you really wanted it. And okay, what can I do in my life to set myself up for another promotion? So many different ways this can go. Take kind of the big picture for a moment would be another learning experience. If you're comparing yourself to someone, is it just this one moment that you want, or would you literally sit there and think, would I trade lives with this person? Like at the end of the day, when you think about it, would you really want to be living someone else's life? That can certainly help you to stop comparing so much, because yes, I might see people getting things that I think it would be cool to have, or achieving things that I would love to achieve, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't really want their life. So putting yourself in that kind of zoomed out perspective of, okay, yes, that's happening for them, but do I really want their whole life, or am I just trying to figure out how to have that moment? The concept of celebrating versus competing, it kind of ties back to when I said that I truly believe that there is room for everyone to have success. That is something that I really believe in. So celebrating people instead of feeling like you're constantly competing with them can absolutely be a positive mind shift that could help you when it comes to these moments of comparison, thinking, yes, they did it, I'm so happy for them, I want to do that. and then there's a little bit more motivation, maybe a little kick in the butt to try to get it done, but again, in more of a positive mindset that you're going to try to get it done. Celebrate them, and then when it's your time, you can celebrate yourself. Let's take a quick moment to address on social media. There is a mute button, there's an unfollow button, and you can just kind of take a break if you need to. I noticed myself getting into this bad habit of just like scrolling on Facebook so much recently. I logged myself out. So I needed to do that. I felt like that was going to help me to stay off of that app just for a little bit. So I logged out. I did actually take note though of how many times like I just went to the app and then it opened and it was logged out and it was a reminder, no, we're not doing this right now. So then I would move on and refocus myself. But I have muted stories before. I've muted posts before. If they're constantly something that made me feel bad, or maybe just like in that moment, like for a week, I just needed a break from whatever this person or whatever this account was posting about. Maybe I didn't want to unfollow them, but for that 1 week, it was bothering me. And maybe, I don't know why, maybe I do know why. But again, don't feel bad to have to do that, because you need to protect your own peace, especially if it's something that's bothering you. So think about why it's bothering you. Hit the mute button if you need to. Unfollow if you need to. Use your block button if you need to. Protect your peace. Let's talk about some affirmations that you can use if you find yourself comparing. So number 1, I trust my timing. Number 2, someone else's success doesn't take away from mine. Number 3, my chapter 2, or whichever number it might be, is valid even if no one's clapping yet. Those are all just short little affirmations you can think about. You can say them to yourself. If you find yourself comparing, sometimes it's helpful just to try to distract yourself for a moment with an affirmation to help get you out of that mindset, and again, to prevent the feeling really bad about yourself rabbit hole that tends to follow. If you feel like you're having a hard time on your journey, or you kind of need an idea of something just to help you stop comparing or being hard on yourself, maybe because you don't think you're far enough along, I want you to think about something you've done lately that would make your past self so proud. You can share it, you can comment, you can keep it to yourself and just think about it, whatever works for you. What's something you've done lately that would make your past self so proud? And I think that that's also a tool that you can use when you find yourself comparing. Personally, I found that journaling helps. I have a few that are guided journals. I also have just a little notebook that I write in every now and then. So I think that find what works for you, and try to also, if comparison is a habit in your life, try to make that a habit of how to stop comparing. Journal, affirmations, saying something to yourself, reminding yourself of something you've achieved. Whatever works for you, just to help you not get into a bad mindset. Thank you so much for tuning in. I absolutely love having you here and learning along the way while I'm filming this podcast. So I want you to keep in mind that your chapter is still unfolding, and just because someone else's looks complete, you want to enjoy your own plot and all the little plot twists that are coming your way. Next week is gossip games in your own head. If you're feeling like people are talking about you, if you're paranoid that people are saying things about you, we're going to talk about how overthinking can most definitely affect us in a not so great way. And I'm really excited to dive into that with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Follow along. She's probably talking to other guys. SPTTOG podcast. I can't wait to talk with you next week.